Dele Faro to me don't come out. Come slash APC. Slap them, scatter them. Hey, if you see what he tell them, my people, if I be APC, I your rest. Hey, my people. See, this time, Dele Faro to me, he say with a full chest. He say 100% of waiting in talk, say he correct. Say this APC government, say this Tinubu government, say that money, that palliative money, he say don't take away the chop am. He said they don't chop am. That is why they are suggesting nonsense like fertilizer, like paying 8,000 naira to 9. Well, household though, not be individual. To household, household, like how say papa, mama, and children they don't give them 8,000 naira. Can you imagine? He said, "Mona think am, mona reason am." He said, "Which government go suggest that kind of nonsense?" He said that from there, can't switch. Say he want provide fertilizer. Hey, my people. He said this government, he said they be 100% insensible. They don't get sense. Say they don't get sense. He said sense, he not there. He said their brain not they work. Hey. He come for that. Me not bless now my word. I go read down the way they talk am. He said no one is asking about crimes committed by the politicians, especially the Senate President Babio, who has multiple cases of fraud and is now coming out to tell Nigerians that as far as say they get fuel they buy, if you buy it for 600 and something naira, it's not bad now. Hey, my people. A Senate president, when are you waiting to tell Nigerians? Say as far as they see the fuel they buy, say as far as say the fuel they available, say it no matter the price where they put. Ha! Oh, Salobamela, who do us? Who do us? Bayo! That one cause he come and come talk in rubbish. Na Faro to me fire ram. Hey, na Faro to me can't tell Bayo or Nanuga. Say na pay they pay and I can't talk that rubbish. He said because if the government not pay him, he no can't talk that rubbish. We can't talk. We can't type for Twitter. He said if I'm not talking, he said na pay. Now they pay him. He said this Nigerian government, not be my word though, as Faro to me they talk and now they turn us so. He said this Nigerian government, they are meticulous in planning for themselves for the detriment to punish Nigerians. He said, I punish, then they can't punish you and me. He said, they don't get anything to offer us. As they look at so, they don't debunk everything. Not in my last video, I show now when they talk, say, they don't debunk the stories in our fake news, say the Chief Justice of the Federation, he not put any call through to Tinubu not see call am. Now they know. Palliative, we not see. Subsidy, it not make sense. Food, it not day. Naira, they fall every day. They push you and me to war. Me, they say our reaction. Because what they want me to come out, come protest. Just as NSAS be. That is what they want. Nothing else. They want find where to come out from this thing we tie all of us. So they want make and say they'll come push Nigerians. Nigeria can't come and protest. They'll come to say that Peter Obi now give Nigerians mind, now instigate them, now push them, you know, to do it that from there on one come arrest Peter Obi. That is their strategy, my people. People should go and think about what I just said. That is what they are thinking. That is why they are pushing Nigerians. Tinubu no say they not vote for him. Tinubu no say they not celebrate him. All those ones they see for television, that they pay them. All those people that they say, hey, Tinubu, all those people that where they come out, when they talk in favor of Tinubu, they are all paid. Will not see any of them again. Will not see any of them again. The answer is no. So they won't push Nigeria to the extreme way. Be say Nigeria will come begin. They do what they do for NSAS. Then they'll come form the lie for Peter Obi. Peter Obi now push them. So that's why because the thing don't work in his favor. Now they push them. They do what they want to. They from there they'll come arrest Peter Obi. Then they'll come end case. But the God where they ever go reveal them. Hey, Peter Obi is just doing his own. He they carry himself. They go. There was nothing we do we be say sexual violence. Nothing. Because that's a trap they are setting. That is why this old subsidy, where they not explain this old for the increase, they can't even explain. They can't even explain the reason why it increased. Ask Carrie, what's it happen? If they talk saying the thing they fluctuate, they go here, they go there, because they are pushing Nigerians. They push Nigerians, make they see Nigerians reaction. So that they'll come out for street in masses, when they demonstrate. They don't come put the whole life for Peter Obi head. They don't come arrest Peter Obi. Then this old tribunal till can die. Hey, my people, I'll let this video play. Make all the evidence. So when I watch this video from the beginning to the end, this is Bod TV Bod, where we analyze a lot of things that come. Trending news, we put them together in one video, can show now. See, before they see them, God don't reveal them, we don't see them. But that protest that they find, they not go see them in Jesus' name. All right, my people, I'll see you again for my next video. Now, bye-bye, yo.
Well, like I said, if you look at what is happening in the plateau in the past few weeks and days, you can but only feel the pain of what we are going through in Nigeria. You listen to the governor. How can we have over 300 people die in a short space of time and the whole nation is not here to commiserate with the Plateau State? It cannot happen. We're not at war. Even countries at war, I don't think have had that type of killing within this period. You can go and check the records. And we're not at war. It cannot happen. And that is why I'm here. To commiserate with the governor and the people of Plateau State, visit Pangu, do the same with the traditional ruler, and go to the IDP camp to reassure the people that this is our country. We have to care for each other. We have to ensure that we live in a peaceful place. Plateau used to be one of the most peaceful places in Federal Republic of Nigeria. It used to be a reference point for peace. How did this happen? These are things we must look into. Nigerians must live at peace, especially the less privileged Nigerians. Like I said, we want to create a Nigeria where a child of nobody will be somebody, will be able to live peacefully in a gainful, productive employment. That's what we want.
Any other question? Okay, so what is your message to the people of Nigeria on your birthday?
Well, for me, I thank God for the birthday. My message remains, we have no other country except this one. Let's work hard and build it for everybody. Let's make the sacrifice. Those of us who are privileged to be leaders, those of us who are privileged to be wealthy, this is time to make sacrifice. This is time for us to know that whatever we have is by grace of God. And that is time to sacrifice to ensure that that grace gets to other people.
Your message to the new service chiefs?
Do whatever you can to return a secure Nigeria to Nigerians. And to those of us in office, I keep saying it, we are privileged. Please, this is time to cut down the waste and let's use the resources for the poor people of Nigeria.
We have fuel to buy. It doesn't matter the amount.
And there is no track record of this government or the one before it having the interest of the people at heart. Palliatives for COVID became party items. That is before you even begin to deal with the mindset that would think it was okay to allocate 70 billion to less than 500 human beings. And then you allocate 48,000 naira over 6 months at 80,000 naira monthly to 12 million households, not persons, household, using a system that is completely opaque, not even open to any scrutiny of any sort, the same way they were feeding children at home during COVID. This is the same system that they are now saying they want to use to share the pittance. So please, There is more to this. I'm not going to have a conversation that talks about palliatives because in reality, they've shared that money already. That's why they can easily seg into, okay, we'll turn it into fertilizer and hose. It's no longer about 8,000 now, it's about fertilizer because they've spent the money already. So this is not a conversation about NLC representing us. No. It's about, are we even human? Are they even treating us as human beings? How are people supposed to survive this? You moved it to 500 before they are even done breathing. You say let the poor breathe. Before they could even exhale. It's gone up again. And I have it on good authority from persons in the industry that at the rate they are going, it's going to go up even more. When are the poor now going to breathe? How? You're choking them, asphyxiating them, and you're talking about them breathing. How? Those who have stolen us into this situation, how are they going to pay? Who is holding them accountable? All we are talking about is remove the thing and then palliative. What about accountability? Who is talking about that? Somebody took, I think, 90 billion, the Accountant General of the Federation. What has happened? He's walking away free. Akpabio, who is sat at the Senate as the Senate President, he was facing multiple charges for stealing. That is exactly how brazen we have become. No accountability of any sort, but we want to talk about palliatives and removal of subsidy. What about paying for the crime that has led us into this mess? Who is asking those questions? The point is this: if we are indeed a democracy, we'll be finding out in the coming days because somebody has to pay for this. Somebody has to pay for this. It is not about removal of subsidy. Every major candidate in the election agreed that it had become an unsustainable fiasco. But what led into its unsustainability? Why are we not talking about that? Who are the persons responsible?
Mr. Farotimi, thank you so much. You've given us, quite a very detailed and heartbreaking explanation, on what's happening in the country at the moment. But I think there's one, question that is bugging my mind. It actually sounds very easy, but at the same time, it's a little bit absurd. You talked about justifying the abominable in Nigeria. So I'd like to have your own take on the NNPCL having, should I say, the boldness or the courage, to raise fuel price again just in a matter of weeks. They explained that it's in line with market realities and it's been done to save businesses. But I don't know, help me make sense of it. Does it make sense to you?
Nothing in our country actually makes sense anymore, if we are going to tell ourselves the truth. Reality is that what we do these days is that we just coast along and we just allow ourselves to survive. We have lived for so long next to what is essentially a rubbish heap that we've lost our capacity to smell. So we sit down in the midst of our mess and we eat, we drink, we party, and we forget. But the thing is this: the government of Nigeria does not treat the people of Nigeria as human beings. It's not just about treating us as citizens. We are not treated as human beings. Let's imagine this. What kind of mentality, what idea governs a system or a country where the government believes that it is okay to budget 70 billion for less than 500 people and then give what is essentially nothing, crumbs, to so many? So when you now talk about NNPC, who is telling us that the petroleum industry has been deregulated, is still busy being the one fixing prices. When you ask them what constitutes this price component, NNPC can't tell me and you. The same NNPC that was given an institutional monopoly has today handed that monopoly to a company in which it had invested $2 billion on my behalf and on your behalf. And now that company is now going to be the operator of the monopoly that once belonged to the NNPC. And we are not meant to ask questions. We can't speak to demand how did we arrive at this price. The same NNPC that told all of us in broad daylight that it is doing direct sale and direct purchase, which meant it was giving crude and it was taking product. Up till today, we don't know exactly where and how the subsidy has arisen. Who was being paid? Nobody is telling who. So the point is this: we've gotten to the point where they just say things because they know there will be no consequences. If people believe that there will be consequences for their actions, if they believe they will be held to account and they will be asked to answer questions in relation to the things that issue forth from their mouths, I am certain that you will have less of this abomination strolling around in broad daylight in our country. We were buying toxic fuel in this country, fuel that will not be sold in any country or other country in the world. We're buying it in Nigeria. Nobody ever paid for that criminality. Nobody. Till today, nobody paid. They told us you are doing direct sale, direct purchase. Up till today, nobody is asking questions. And yet you are demanding. And don't worry, before the end of this month or next month, they will tell us to pay some more. It's one blow after the other for the Nigerian. We've become like orphans, tossed around and beaten about by everybody in our space. The government has become the enemy of the people. And we, the people, we have to look beyond all these stupid, petty differences and begin to ask questions, because these are existential issues. They are legislating us into slavery. And we are all alive and well, and we are sat here and we are busy quibbling over nonsense, ethnicity, religion, and we are being systematically enslaved. All of us. Questions that we should ask, we are not asking. The one that should not concern us is what excites us.
It's unfortunate, and these issues that we're currently going through with a nation that already had everything together, like had dotted its I's and crossed its T's, this would bring it to its knees. And seeing as we were already hobbling, how do I ask this question? It's a bit of a runaway horse situation that we have now. The APC spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, he recently came out and has asked the people to be patient. I'm guessing in the most layman of layman's terms, the idea is things are going to get much worse before they get better. So that this period of time is somewhere where we tighten our belts and we gnash our teeth, and then eventually it will get better. At what point in time it will get better is the question. How that is going to happen, seeing as how planning is not our strongest forte within our government. How is it possible to turn things around? I know you're not an economist, but is it even possible to get things to even just an even layer? What would the government need to do? What would the APC need to do? What kind of statements do they need to come out with in order to pacify the Nigerians that are struggling right now? Because honestly, telling everyone to be patient is just going to create more impatience. Your thoughts on that?
You see, Mr. Bayo Onanuga is paid to say what he has said. And he can't be expected to say anything different from what he has said. He is paid to tell us what the government believes we should be hearing. But it is incumbent on every human being, every sentient being who has the capacity to think on their own, to examine the foundation from which the person has proceeded. There is nothing about Nigeria that inspires hope. Nothing. Every time we have sought to move beyond where we are, the system has managed to truncate hope. And what you have today is a situation where the idea that governs Nigeria, the idea is about idea. You said the Nigerian government, we are not good with planning. They are actually very, very good with planning. It's just that the plans are necessarily evil and not necessarily exertions in relation or on behalf of the people. When it comes to stealing, they plan well. When it comes to grabbing power, they are very meticulous about planning into the future. But the interest of the people ranks nowhere in their mind. Think about it. The only thing remaining that the Nigerian benefits, and I'm not suggesting that it should have been preserved, it would eventually have had to go. But the most basic of the things that should have been done was to have made sure that at the pressure points, government would have provided palliatives to deal with the pressure points. But you are dealing with a situation where the same government that has failed at providing palliatives, at making sure that the subsidy the people themselves are giving to government are eliminated by government becoming efficient, plugging its own loopholes, stopping the waste. The thinking that would think it was okay to allocate 70 billion to legislators, 35 billion to judges, that thinking that would also believe that it's okay to now leave the people to the vagaries and then be talking about palliatives after the fact and then proceed to increase the price a second time. That tells you that these are not people who care anything about the people. They don't care. So all those things that Bayo Onanuga is saying is just another round of lies that the APC is not exclusive to the APC, if I may say so, but Nigerian politicians generally, but particularly the APC, since the reign of impunity has been established in this country in 2015, they don't care. All those things he was saying does not connect with the reality on the ground. They want us to keep forbearing. It will get better tomorrow. It has never gotten better on account of the government's action. It's taking the people at every point to provide succor for themselves and to find some relief. The government has only ever occasioned pain in the lives of Nigerians, and nobody has inflicted more pain on us than these Jeroboams who are currently in government. You come in, first thing first, people who are already under pressure, you remove subsidy, quote and unquote, but nobody has any problem with dealing with the many monsters who have stolen us blind. Somebody,
Mr. Farotimi.
Look, the pain of the Nigerian is systemic and is deliberate. So Bayo Onanuga can say anything he likes. It does not change our reality. They don't care about us.
Bayo Onanuga, in a tweet, called on Nigerians to be patient with the Tinubu administration. Onanuga admitted that everyone, including those in the All Progressives Congress, are all feeling the heat arising from the petrol subsidy removal. Well, let's take his tweet. He says, "In this season of high fuel price, I want to plead with our people to exercise some patience. We are all jointly experiencing the pain. All those intemperate attacks against the new government of President Bola Tinubu should stop. Let's await the palliatives as his government has promised. Let's await the palliatives that will flow from each state as more money is channeled to them from the subsidy savings. We cannot go back to the hyper-fraudulent subsidy regime where we were spending more money on petrol than on roads, education, and health." Well, I mean, Bayo Onanuga, I don't know if it's everyone that is feeling the heat, or I mean, he kept on begging everybody. I mean,
it's not everyone.
Why? I don't understand.
They are not feeling the heat. They are not. It's obvious.
Wait, okay. In the meantime, let me tell you what happened yesterday. Trekkathon was trending yesterday after a video showing more people than cars on major roads around the Ikeja area of Lagos State began circulating. I mean, look at this. Have you seen this thing happen before? I mean, this is a computer village in Ikeja. Rufai.
Please, Mr. Bayo Onanuga should not come and tell us anything. They are not feeling the heat. For what I know, lawmakers got free 70 billion. They are not feeling the heat. They should speak for themselves. So why is Mr. Bayo Onanuga begging Nigerians now? No, he should not beg Nigerians. Please, he should leave Nigerians alone. They plunged Nigerians into this. The APC plunged Nigerians into this because of their terrible planning. I asked Professor Kila a very technical question this morning. I said, do you see rigor in the thinking of government? He said, no rigor. You know what that means? That's an indictment on government. You remove subsidy, no planning. There's no rigor. Even the 8,000 you announced, when people showed you how funny your thoughts were, you have to bring it back and say you are reviewing. Till date, they've not finished reviewing. The meetings you ought to have with Labour, the meeting have been stopped. Labour is upset. Everybody is upset. Now you are saying you are begging. What are you begging? You say you are going to hit the ground running. Hit it running. What we expected President Tinubu, and I keep saying, to have done is, if you knew you were going to remove subsidy of your inauguration speech. Once you won the election, you will have started planning for it. At least have a template document. If I at least had that and you put it forward, now you are saying you are meeting with stakeholders. Why didn't you finish the meeting with stakeholders before you remove subsidy? So we've given ideas ad nauseum. But Mr. Bayo Onanuga should not beg. I think Mr. Bayo Onanuga should have begged the Igbos that he said that never should they put mouth in Lagos politics again. And when he said all of those things that people kicked against him, he said he had no apologies. So why is he begging now? Nigerians have a right to ventilate. It's democracy, isn't it? Or do you want an authoritarian government? No, it's democracy. So he should not beg. He has no locus to beg. People are suffering, and we want them to give us thinking. But let me give solutions, because we still need to talk solutions and move forward. It is time for President Tinubu to bring out his ministers. Let's even have an economic planning team.
That is it.
Go back to that meeting with NLC, so you are able to bring it out. Thirdly, the Senate president that is saying that Nigeria, he doesn't understand what people are going through. And he's not in the space to say they're going to increase salary. He's not government, he's not of the executive arm. So he can just talk for the sake of talking. But Nigerians are faced with all of these challenges. The meeting with Labour should continue in such a way that they should bring out a resolution as regards what will happen to minimum wage. And other plans that they've not been able to effectively implement, they should look at it.
Right.
And Nigerians are waiting. Nigerians want the government to think for solutions.
Right.
Not telling us, beg. No, Mr. Bayo Onanuga should have begged when he said very incriminating things against a specific group of people after the elections, which are also part of the economic heartland in Lagos. And please, part of the solutions too. Where is the train in Lagos?
We talked about that.
No, where is the train? Maybe they said they launched a train there. When is it going to start? At least maybe if that one starts, it will cushion the effect in Lagos.
We talked about that. But you know that, Rufai, the president met with Vice President Kashim Shettima and Senate President Godswill Akpabio and some, other state governors as part of efforts to discuss the, continued palliative conversations. Governor of Lagos State was in attendance, Imo State Governor, as well as, Dakpo Abiodun. Before I ask that question, what are these state governors doing? This is what they should be talking about when I hope this is what they talked about when they met with the president, especially in Lagos. We live in Lagos. What's happening? What's happening with the train? If I ask that question.
Thank you. I mean, in the earlier stories, you had highlighted that the governor of Bayelsa State had also provided a bus palliative. On the show, we talked about the governor of Borno State as well, who have, in their own way, responded at least immediately to the needs of their people. But there's a deafening silence from Lagos State, which is the commercial capital of the country, where they have their internally generated revenue is the highest in the country. Why is Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu not saying anything? We saw the computer village videos. This has hit Lagosians and hit businesses in Lagos State, which is responsible for the taxes that the government looks to help to show up IGR. Why is the governor not saying anything? So it's one thing to go to Abuja to have meetings, which is good. We hope that the president would engage with, subnationals. But beyond that, the states can do something. It's often been said that there's so much attention on the federal, on the center, that we ignore the chief executive of state and what they are doing in terms of palliatives. Has he met with business owners? Has he felt the pulses of SMEs in Lagos State? Does he understand the reality and the sufferings of the people in Lagos State? And what is his immediate response? He doesn't have to wait for the president before he acts.
Absolutely. Dr. Bati.
Okay, a couple of things. Number one, Mr. Bayo Onanuga saying people should be patient and that we are all in this together. Well, indeed, we are all in this together. Because even when you are in government, you are part of it. Everything has gone up. Everything has doubled. We all feel the pain. President Tinubu says it's like childbirth pain. And he says he's going to provide palliatives to minimize our suffering. So when Mr. Bayo Onanuga says people should be patient, the palliatives should come, he's not saying anything extraordinary or strange. What he's just saying is that, okay, be patient, the same thing that the president has said. But our concern as Nigerians is that what we see in terms of approach is a lack of strategy, lack of innovation, lack of imagination. Shouldn't the palliatives have come first? Shouldn't the strategy have been properly defined first before we have this? The government must take responsibility for the poor implementation of policy. The government must step up its efforts. The childbirth pain that President Tinubu has identified and that Mr. Ononuga is echoing, yes, what will be provided, to reduce the pain that the people have been going through? And this point needs to be made. And it is as follows, that the period of campaign is over. It's no longer time for politicking, campaign period talk. It's now time for governance. And that probably explains the shift in Mr. Bayo Ononuga's tone. That, look, it's time for governance, and it affects all of us. We have to govern this country and move forward. Well, some people may disagree with what he says, but he talks about intemperate attacks on President Bola Tinubu. Well, you can react one way or the other, but this is the way in which, this is the situation in which we have found ourselves. So as a citizen, not talking as a partisan spokesperson now, I don't see what is wrong with what he has said. As for Godswill Akpabio, well, Godswill Akpabio was visited by Governor Oyebanji of Ekiti State. I'm sure many people will visit him. After all, the Senate Majority Leader, Bamidele Okpeyemi, Senator, comes from Ekiti State. And you also have in that same place the spokesperson of the Senate, Yemi Adaramodu. He comes from Ekiti State. And then I think you have, Cyril, yes, who is also from Ekiti State. So the governor went there and said, look, the people of Ekiti State, they are behind you. And the Senate president, of course, reciprocated and said, oh, the people of Ekiti State, the land of knowledge, they are making significant contribution to the Senate. So it's some diplomatic talk there. I don't see what is wrong with that. But what I find curious is that cap on the head of Senate President Godswill Akpabio, the interlocking chain, the Mobius strip, using that as a symbol to show his commitment to the president. And we keep making the point, we don't want a National Assembly where the chairman of the Assembly and the Speaker of the House of Reps, think that they have a place in the boys' quarters of Aso Rock, and that the National Assembly is an extension. So this is the problem, because he didn't just put that cap on. He did it deliberately. It's the Emilokon cap. I hope also that now that the National Assembly is involved in the discussion about the palliatives, that the chairman of the National Assembly will go there and make solid contributions, not to go there and be emilokoing all over the place. And anything that the president says, he will say, yes, Mr. President, you are right. No, Mr. President.
Your Lordship, sir. I got you there.
Does he not?
Well, all right.
Anyway, but I've made my point. Psychophancy should have its limits. The National Assembly should know that they have a job to do, not by using fashion, and attitude to send, a message about their loyalty. We are not interested in their loyalty. The loyalty that we are interested in is loyalty to the Nigerian people and the objective of good governance, well said, which I say should be the focus.
Well said. Well, let's take another story. Ejike Mesoma, the student from Anglican Girls Secondary School in Anambra State, who was accused of forging her Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination on Wednesday, apologized to the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board for falsifying her result. Mesoma made the apology when she appeared before an ad hoc committee of the House of Representatives investigating the case. At the hearing, JAMB Registrar Professor Ishak Oloyede insisted that Mesoma deliberately conspired with other actors to forge the result. Well, the 19-year-old student, however, pled for leniency for the ban imposed on her by the examination board to be lifted.
Permit me to use this medium to pen this letter of apology with a heavy heart I humbly seek your forgiveness for the mistakes I've made and the pain I've caused. I'm by name H.K. Joy Mesoma, the young girl who was not celebrated for what appeared to be an exceptional UTME score. I deeply and sincerely admit that I ignorantly got my JAMB results from another portal, which was not JAMB portal.
Well, I hope this will put the story to rest. The most important thing is that she gets counseling, Ayo.
Yes. Well, yeah, I do agree that she should get counseling, but I do think that actions must have consequences. The reason why this is important is because it serves as a deterrent for future occurrences. Yes, we can take on the emotional aspect of this and listen to her apology, but in 2021, a certain John also had falsified his result from 380 to 265 and also went through the same process that Mesoma did with the JAMB. Until JAMB then, he had even wanted to sue JAMB for 2 billion naira in damages, and he then became clear that he had actually forged his results. I don't think it was done in ignorance. She had done this with intentions to deceive JAMB and the people and to get the benefits, because of what, if you look at the trial. So, yes, I do understand that there should be some form of counseling, but I do think, if not, as in the words of Dr. Amadi, Nigeria would become a republic of forgery, whereby the only thing you do are the consequences for you to just apologize when you are caught out. Please let her face the consequences and let it serve as a deterrent to other young people in Nigeria.
God bless you, for that.
Very
God
well
bless
said.
you.
Dr. Abati, just a few seconds so we can take
I
this
was
live.
going to say that, look, forgery is a felony. It's an offense, punishable by 3 years. Section 467 of the Criminal Code. And the young lady in question is an adult. She's 19. So there's a crime here. But we don't know the extent to which the JAMB, Joint Admissions Matriculation Board, will take it. She and her accomplices, ipso facto, have a case to answer.
All right.
That's one. Two, this is a vindication of JAMB under the leadership of Professor Isiaq Oluyede. The man has simply transformed JAMB. This is the same man who caught CBT centers who were introducing fraud into the admissions process. This is the same man who caught a staff who said the snake swallowed money.
I remember that.
There are many people who have been sent to jail because they have been trying to compromise JAMB. And it's good that Professor Isiaq Oluyede and his team stood firm, because when they came forward and they said, look, something is wrong here. This is not true. This is what our records say. They've been vindicated. And I hope all those public figures that came out and read ethnic meanings into this, would also come forward and apologize and say that now that they know the truth and that the lady has admitted wrongdoing, that they too are sorry that they attacked and criticized JAMB unfairly.
All right, then. We'll take our final story. The spokesperson of the Nigerian Police Force, CSP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, on Wednesday reacted to a trending video showing some students of Delta State University observing a gender switch day, to commemorate the day. Male students of the university dressed as their female classmates, while the female students adorned male outfits. Oh, that's a boy, a beautiful boy. But reacting via Twitter, the police spokesperson said he will take action. Rufai, I don't know what action he will take, but I guess that there is a law in Nigeria that bans homosexuality or same-sex marriage, but people are saying, what action are you going to take? I have my makeup artist, and she said she attended DELSU in 2016, and this thing was not going on, but it goes to show this whole, gender.
We're copying a lot of cultures that and we're expressing them in very unguarded ways. I think this infiltration from the West in our society It's got its damaging effect. We should watch it. This is not us as a people.
Yes.
And I'm taken aback at this. This is not us as a people, honestly.
All right.
I'm not sure I can really do much, but this is not us. Let us watch this.
Dr.
This acculturation that is happening, it's taking root and it's eating and killing the fabric of our society. Okay. Look at this. Look at this.
Dr. Vati, are you okay?
Okay, you've referred to the Same-Sex Prohibition Act of 2014. But okay, maybe this will apply under Section 231 of the Criminal Code.
Maybe.
About indecent act. Cross-dressing will fall under indecent act, and the punishment for it is 2 years. These children have been sent to university to go and study. They are cross-dressing all over the place, and they say it's gender switching. That's against our laws.
So what happened to Bobrisky and those who have made it?
What happened? No, you know that certain agencies of government have been after them, but there's a law against.
God was again on the throne to do what he knows how best to do, enthrone justice and fair play to ensure that his creatures and creation do his bidding. It is in Lamentations 3:37. Who is he that speaketh, and it cometh to pass, if God has not commanded it? Today, this court, the Honorable Justice Bintanyaku, granted all the reliefs sought for by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu before the court. The young Nigerian patriot, Igbo self-determination czar, who was extraordinarily, illegally, unconstitutionally, torturously, brutally renditioned from Kenya back to Nigeria on the 27th of June, 2021. Today, the court agreed with us that the reliefs we asked for must be granted, and the judge granted. What were these reliefs? That Nnamdi Kanu be allowed access to medical doctors of his own choice, as earlier also ruled by this honorable court since October 2021, but which ruling was continuously, serially, and contumaciously breached by the SSS. Today, the court ruled that he was entitled to have access to his medical practitioners of his own choice, and that these medical practitioners should be present whenever any examination or procedure is to be done on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu outside the facilities of the SSS, and that such examination or procedure should be recorded. Should be recorded. She made that order. She also made the order that all his medical records should be made available to him. Because in any event, it is the right of a patient to have access to and see his medical records so that he can always have a review and update on these medical records. She couldn't see why such a simple demand should be denied him. the SSS had filed a preliminary objection that this action was similar to the one earlier filed before this court and also before the court in Umuahia, Federal High Court. The court held that that was not true, that the parties may be similar, but that the course of action was certainly different. Because in that action, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu had sought for the enforcement of his fundamental human rights, which were granted by the Federal High Court in Umuahia, sitting in Umuahia. And guess what? The court had imposed a fine, damages of 500 million naira against the federal government of Nigeria, which, as I speak to you, has never been paid. I may begin to take steps to enforce that judgment. Since the olive branch we have held out in the last 2 years has not been responded to. But that, on the other hand, the case before this court today was for an order of mandamus to compel a public agency, which is the DSS, to carry out its duty, which it has refused to carry out as laid down by law, after we wrote them letters, 2 letters, in October and November 2022, urging them to carry out what the court has today granted. They refused. So the court held that the 2 suits were different, one from the other, and that the earlier judgment before the Federal High Court, Umuahia Judicial Division, is not the same as the judgment she delivered today. So the court granted all our reliefs. Nnamdi Kanu should now have access to his medical records, which so far have become a voodoo, which so far have become a mirage, which so far have become like an apparition, like a ghost, which so far have become like a subject matter of witches and wizards operating in a coven, not being seen by the patient himself, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, by his parents, by his family members, by we, his lawyers. We will now have access to these medical records. We want to know, what is it that the SSS has been hiding? Why is his potassium level oscillating like a yo-yo? And they increase the dosage now and again. Why have they made Nnamdi Kanu a guinea pig of trial and error? Why has Nnamdi Kanu not been well? Why did he develop earache, which now requires an urgent surgery, recommended by the DSS medical doctor himself? A team of medical doctors of the DSS have now recommended that this guy's ear is failing and must be operated upon immediately, otherwise he will lose it. Why is his heart not in position? A heart that suffers missteps, a heart that suffers palpitation, a heart that was made worse through the torture he went through in Kenya when he was captured, kidnapped, abducted, kept in a dingy confinement for 8 days, blindfolded, chained, and then extraordinarily renditioned in a private jet back from Kenya to Nigeria since June 27, 2021. What is it that you have been hiding? We will now get an enrolled copy of this judgment of today. It's not a ruling, it's a judgment. We enroll it and write a formal letter to the DSS. Between June 27 and now, today, the 20th day of July 2023, 2 years later, we want to see the records of Nnamdi Kanu. We want to see what has been happening to his body. Because there are no two human beings. Once you die, you are gone forever. So this judge must be commended for her continuous courage and bravado in these times that try men's souls, in these times that try women's souls, to the extent that her earlier judgment was not only upheld by the Court of Appeal on the 13th of October 2022, but that the Court of Appeal went ahead to strike out the remaining 7-count charges that she had remained. And by the way, the same federal government, in an unprecedented manner, went to the same Court of Appeal before another panel to obtain a stay of execution in a criminal matter using civil authorities, civil rules and authorities to obtain stay of execution in a criminal matter, in a way and manner that is unprecedented, uncharted. We have tested that already at the Supreme Court. Can you stay execution of the liberty of a citizen? America will go out of its way to any country in the world to go and take out its own citizen. But here we have a Nigerian government staying the execution of the relief to release its own citizen, saying your fundamental rights should not be enforced. A government, a whole government that should protect its citizen. A government that has been defiant against reason, against sense, against sensibility, against good conscience, against morality, against the OAU advice that Nnamdi Kanu be released. He has told me as his lead counsel, as his lawyer, that he does not believe in it, that he cannot be fighting for his people and be shutting down their economy. How do they feed? How will they train their children? Many a time he cried to me in my presence that he wants to be released so that he can hold a world press conference and address the Indigbos and the Alaigbos and the entire world to say, don't stay at home on Mondays, go about your normal duties, work. Because the Bible tells us it is upon the fruits of your hand. I will bless you the labor of your hands. So I'm now re-echoing it again and again, what Nnamdi Kanu has told me. He does not believe in that seat at home on Mondays, which cripples the social, economic, cultural, political life of the people, putting them under psychological, mental structure and torture. And the point must again be made, even if for the opt-in time, for record purposes, because they are bound in a large number, what you call historical revisionists, who would want to revise history and make us to have selective amnesia, or make us to be like the Bourbons of European history that learned nothing and forgot nothing, to the extent that even after the Treaty of Versailles in 1918, during the end of the First World War, leading to the enactment of the League of Nations, the Second World War still broke out between 1940 and 1945. which now led to institutionalization of the United Nations Organization in 1948. What is that truism? It is that Nnamdi Kanu was granted bail and he was enjoying the bail, acceding to all the conditions of the bail. He did not jump bail. He remained in Nigeria. His case was to come up sometime in October. But between 14th and 17th of September 2017, particularly on the 17th, particularly on the 14th, the federal government, through Operation Python Dance, a python that never danced against Boko Haram, a python that has never danced against armed bandits, a python that has never danced against kidnappers, a python that has never danced against hunger, against squalor, against abject penury, a python that has never danced against a pilous economy, against a python that never danced against corruption, which has made Nigeria one of the most corrupt nations in the world, number 148.
This is Bod TV Bod. In case the first time you come here, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more uploads.